Hello and welcome to your channeled message with Cosmic Lotus Energy Healing. Today we are going to be doing a deep dive on your specific person, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and the potential of your future. So if this is something that resonates with you, stick around. I have a few things that came through in my meditation that I wanted to share just so you could have a little bit closer idea if this message is for you and if it resonates. First thing is your specific person would be someone that is like the same as you. There are so many signs and synchronicities, things that have brought you guys together, but also I do feel like this is a couple that you guys have been through like the same traumas, the same like upbringing. You guys have struggled with the same struggles. You guys maybe have built something in your life like that is like a commonality. The angel numbers 444, 1111, 1010, 222, and 888 might be significant. Names starting with an A. K for like Kate or Caitlin, D, David specifically, J for Juan or John specifically, and O, any names with O. I did hear If It's the Beaches, I think it's the Avett Brothers. That song may be significant. Ophelia, that song, daisies, sunflowers, pepper trees, beaches, and rain. Another thing that came through is power outages. So recently, maybe you gone through a power outage or knew someone that did. Sirens and alarms. So if any of that is significant, maybe that points you a little bit closer. But again, just remember that that doesn't have to be. It just might point you a little bit more in the right direction and give you a little bit more confirmation. Without further ado, I'm going to pull some cards. Okay, so we're going to do a couple different spreads. I kind of wanted to get an idea of your guys' past and a little bit more confirmation to know if this is truly a message for you, because in my meditation I was receiving some really beautiful things, but it did seem very specific. So before I share those things, I wanted to kind of get you a little bit more confirmation. This person, what I'm seeing, is a very strong manifester. They are someone that is very inclined to work on their career. They tend to be very obsessive, and anything that they put their mind to, they are able to create. This is someone that is a master manifester. They are someone that can take like dirt and turn it into gold. They have alchemized a lot of situations in their past life. They've dealt with a lot of heartbreak, and it has really hardened their heart and hardened who they are as a person. And I feel as though when you two have met, this person never showed you the opposite side of them, where they have this very dark and shadowed aspect of themselves. With you, for whatever reason, you bring something out of them that is like literally changing them from the inside out. And they don't want you to see this shadow aspect of themselves, because I do feel like they have destroyed a lot of relationships and a lot of different things. But before that scares you off, I don't think that it's a bad thing. Intuitively, I feel like you know this, and maybe they've told you a few things like here or there, but they're hiding a lot of things because they don't want to scare you off. And it doesn't mean that they're hiding in a bad way, but they came from such a terrible childhood and background that what they knew back then is all that they could do. Now, I do feel like this is somebody that came from a lot of poverty, that came from maybe some really bad backgrounds with like drugs and alcohol or something along those lines, where like the parents were not very stable. And what they saw and what they observed in their upbringing kind of translated to who they are today. in some aspects, I do feel like they ran as far away from that family dynamic as possible. So they may not speak to family. They also may not like do a lot of the same things as their family did. So if they were like kind of poor, maybe this really pushed them to become very successful so that they never had to deal with poverty again. Or like if if their parents struggled with addiction, maybe they made sure that they were never going to, be like to drink too much or whatever that is. Those are just a few examples of like, the polar opposites. But then in a lot of ways, they were programmed and we are like victims of our circumstances in a sense. And this person has yet to really identify and address like some of these deeper core wounds that's going on. So they know it because what I'm seeing here is a lot of pain, a lot of grief, a lot of just tragedy. But I do feel like it was fated, that your connection was meant to be. And I really hope I don't scare you off just yet, because with you being the Queen of Cups here, you are somebody that is changing them for the better. Now, their true intentions is to treat you with the highest good, to treat you with love and kindness and compassion. And they are learning. So you might have met them at a very pivotal moment in their lives. So I'm going to go one by one and kind of explain a little bit of what I'm seeing, because I think it's going to explain a lot. This is more so now, I'm going to move from their childhood into like their more adult years. So this is somebody that is very career motivated. They want to, anything, again, like I said, anything that they put their mind to, they can become. And I do feel like this person has lived in a lot of like luxury and has had a lot of financial wealth and stability. But I do feel like the tables were overturned and they allowed the success to get to their head. And with that, it did lead to heartbreak. So they possibly could have had a family beforehand, or maybe they just like worked so much that they ended up being like single and alone. So yeah, they had a lot of money, but you see that a lot, right? Like just because they have money doesn't mean that they're miserable, right? Especially if they're not speaking to family, they might be feeling like a lot of like sadness or loneliness and grief. I do feel like they did have like some type of family dynamic or maybe a long-term partnership in the past. And because of this greed and this like, I won't say greed, but it was like, I would say like the Chariot, very strong will, pushing forward. They kind of messed up the family dynamic, not in a way that was like, I still think that they were very loving and caring and they had the best of intentions, but they just saw that the way that they should love is through maybe like more of the material stuff or, providing is what I'm hearing. And it ended up turning into heartbreak. It ended up turning into something that was very painful for them to go through. So this could have been, a girlfriend, wife, family leaving. It could have been betrayal. Something happened and it was fated. That situation had to happen in order for this person to open up their eyes and realize just how much their childhood affects them. Now, I don't think they were like terrible people at all. I think that they were very loving and genuine. And like in a way, like with their past partner, they did show up in a lot of ways, the way they do with you. But with you are bringing something completely different out of them. And so don't let that be an insecurity. But I'm just saying like they just kind of royally messed up. And this is causing them a lot of fear and anxiety. They don't want to do what they did before to you because they see you as the Queen of Cups. This is a collective that is very sensitive. You may be empaths. You may be healers. I really do think that you are a healer. That doesn't mean that you have to do the work, owning your own business or anything like that. But by your own vibration, you cause people to either heal or you trigger them and eventually they heal. If you know, right? And fortunately for you, this person is willing. They have suffered so bad. They have suffered and hurt so bad that they are now willing to do whatever it takes to change who they are as a person. Addiction may have been a big piece of this. They may have been brought down to the bitter ends, the depths of like the bitter ends. And now they are starting to take off the blindfold. They are starting to see like how much pain they have caused themselves and other people, and they refuse to do that with themselves. They refuse to do that with you. I'm sorry. With the Chariot here, I do feel like so far on their healing journey, they have kind of done it like everything else in life. They have pushed forward. They have been like, okay, I'm going to heal and I'm going to do this. And it's come from this very like fear-based place. And what's happening is it's manifesting as a little bit unhealthy. Now, I do feel like this is still all the past. So don't let that worry you, because some of the channels that I was getting is very, very beautiful outcomes. So stay with me. But this is leading up to you. This is what happened. And that's why maybe you're feeling like slow energy, or maybe you feel like you can trust this person sometimes and then you can't, or like it's like this flip-flop kind of energy. And what's happening is they're titrating. They're learning how to be a new person. You are awakening something completely new, something completely different in them that they didn't know that existed. You are bringing out their inner child. So you may notice this person is very goofy. This person is almost like very immature in your presence, and not in a bad way, but like you guys like crack up like you are two little kids. You guys might be very playful and like poke fun, or just like a majority of your relationship might be like laughing. And that's beautiful, but I do feel like because you are somebody that does do the work, you're almost like needing a little bit more depth. You're somebody that loves to talk about every situation, the ins, the outs, and maybe you even overanalyze in a sense. And what I'm getting is like, this is actually happening for a reason, because it's going to teach you to get a little bit more in the flow state, and it's going to teach them, like you guys are balancing out. It's going to teach them to like actually access depth and to actually really become deep. And this person is very deep. They do think things through. They are very serious. But when it comes to their healing, I do feel like their past is so traumatic that it's hard for them to even look at or even address. But because you are in the picture, Miss Queen of Cups, or Mr. Queen of Cups, you're helping them access a whole nother way of living. So with that, I'm going to pull our next spread. Now we're starting to pull your present relationship. So it's more with this person. What I'm seeing is that when you guys first got together, there was a lot of imbalance. So maybe you guys were, because you guys both dealt with like a lot of the same childhood trauma and like maybe like mental health issues, there was like this imbalance of maybe codependency, of you maybe like dimming your light in order to fit in, almost like lying to kick it. And there was like a lot of dependency on the other person's approval. And this person is very like, it is what I say it is, kind of, could be very judgmental. And you learn to, I would say from a very young age, to kind of read what other people are going to think and then be able to like morph yourself into that. And I do feel like right now you are learning the lesson of staying your authentic self no matter what. With that moon, it's like this shadow aspect. You do realize like just what you bring to the table. You do know like who you are as a person. You have had past experiences that have led you to right here, right now. And you're like unwilling to hide yourself. But I do feel like sometimes that shadow aspect does come out where you do dim your light, where you may have certain practices that you hide from that person, or you still try to fit into the box that they need you to be. But with the strength card here, I do feel like the way that you're going to help move this relationship forward is actually being as authentic and true and vulnerable as possible. They need to see your light because, again, this is a collective that has done the work. You are somebody that has absolutely done what you need to do. Doesn't mean that you're perfect or anything, but you have done a lot of healing. And they need to see what healing can do, because I do feel like you guys have the same upbringing and then you went into two different ventures. And what's really cool is I do feel like you have built yourself when it comes to emotions and when it comes to your healing. And with the other person, they have built themselves with finances. And in my meditation, what I was hearing is that this is a fated relationship. It is meant to be. And you guys are the same person, but you guys have had different ventures that have created you into different people. So you may notice that there are like these polar opposite things where you guys are the same people, and then there's these extreme differences. And the reason that happened is because you guys have had different experiences along the way that made you separate. And now what's going to happen is you're going to be able to merge and balance each other out. So they may be able to help you with the finance aspect. You may be able to help them with the emotional healing aspect. And let's see, with the devil, yeah, I do see that you guys began to almost move into like the same cycle of a relationship. But what happened was you guys began to like suffer. Maybe there was some fighting, maybe there was some offness, but this relationship was so powerful. There's like this pull that you can't resist almost. But you had like, I feel like spirit was working with you to learn to have like a healthy relationship. And that healthy relationship really included boundaries. And so you have had to stay strong in who you are and almost like pull back your energy a little bit. And what happened was this caused this person to start to look at themselves and the way that they are, the way that they show up in life. And I do feel like as you began to pull back your energy, they saw just how much confidence you have in like charging forward and like being sovereign and like not needing them, that they realized that they were just an option. And they're not used to that. They're not used to having someone that will just like easily walk away or just they're used to being in power, I think is what it is. They're used to being the one that leaves the relationship. They're the one that's used to having the upper hand. And you are actually demonstrating that you have the upper hand, not in like this weird mean dynamic, but you know your worth and you're not going to settle for anything less anymore because your past has kind of showed you, you know. With the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Swords, I do see that this has a fiery passion. There is some kind of pull that you guys can't seem to step away from. Now, because you guys are mirrors, you guys are like the same thing. I think a lot of the fighting actually was because you were looking at yourself in the mirror. And I do feel like both of you are very level-headed, that it's like once the fight was dissipated or once things calmed down, You were able to see the other person's point of view and actually implement what they were saying. And I do feel that this is the trajectory of your life, of your relationship with this person, if you choose to stay. You guys are going to accelerate and push each other to new levels. And you can almost see through the other person's BS because they are you, if that makes sense. So these polarities, they're starting to balance out. But also, I do feel like you guys are going to be able to push each other to a whole new level. If this is something that you really do want, because you do have options, you do have choices. It's not like you have to wait around for someone to heal. There's so many different opinions, right? But like, what I'm picking up on is this is a relationship that you have yet to experience. And when it is good, ooh, I'm getting chills. It is good. It is beautiful. And you guys love each other like no other. I feel like this is a new kind of relationship for both of you. You both have never experienced like this kind of depth, especially this early on in a relationship. And it's so exciting and it's so pulling and peaceful. And it feels like the healthiest relationship dynamic that you've had this far, but there's still that like apprehension possibly of like, okay, do I stay, do I go, and needing that guidance, obviously why you're here on this channel on your reading. So with that, I feel concluded on your present situation and just like since meeting each other. Now we're going to pull and to kind of see your future, which is super exciting because this is where I was getting a lot of channels and now I kind of want to throw this in there. So I'm going to pull the cards real quick and then we will move along. Okay, and now we get to see what your future may hold. So like I said, I got some channels in the meditation beforehand. I was channeling that maybe a mother or grandmother on your person's side has passed. Red hair could be significant. Blue eyes could be significant. What she was saying was you bring something out of this person that has been so deeply locked away. So it goes back to, you may see this person as an inner child, the beauty, the grace, the elegance. They need more lightness, laughter in their life. And that is you. They think about you 24/7. And they are in this messy situation, but you best believe that they are getting themselves out of the situation because they know you mean business. You have had these boundaries. You have had certain ways where you say, I will walk away. I know my worth. And this person sees that. Given the opportunity, this is where it gets a little bit wild. If you do plan to have kids, get married, this figure would like to reincarnate through that child. This person has locked away secrets. That means that they are broken. They need to, that needs to come out, and it requires deep patience and understanding. And that's why you're here. The universe knew that you are someone that is deeply understanding, deeply compassionate. And that doesn't mean that you're going to tolerate BS, but I do feel like because of your own healing journey, you know what it took in order for you to heal. And now you get to turn around and be able to help this person too. Now, if this person is still in a messy situation, they are planning their escape plan, and they're not saying much about it to you because they know that talk is cheap. So moving into the cards, I do see that this is a new beginning. This is something that you guys get to recreate. So any negative experiences that you have had in the past, you get to leave at the door and start anew. You guys are going to heal together. You are going to collaborate and build this beautiful life of ease, of grace, of comfort. Now, I do feel like you are up at night sometimes. You're worried, is this the right person? Contemplating. But with this high priestess here, Spirit wants to remind you that this is just your shadow aspect. This is the traumas, the trials, the tribulations that you have been through. And if you contemplate, if you journal, if you do the work, you soften into this relationship, you will understand that you can create whatever it is that you want. So if it is this man that you want, this person that you want, you will have them. And you will have an ending to the old relationship dynamics that you may have had of agony, of pain, because you are the creator. You get to create something so beautiful, so elegant. And with this Queen of Cups, you guys are going to build something so beautiful. Marriage is a potential. Children is a potential. This is a life partner. But it is going to take a little bit of change perspective. It is going to take the need to look at yourself. This is an initiation to look at yourself. Because what you spot in the other person a lot of times has to do with what you are denying within yourself. So if you find that you're angry at this person, if you find that you're upset, that you're mad, it's going to be different than most relationships that you've been in before. This is going to take and require more self-appraisal, more looking at yourself, more compassion for the other party. You know, we live in a world, there's so many different things on social media about, especially like with feminine, of like rising into becoming like a bad A, B, you know, and like we won't tolerate no man and stuff like that. But what I'm seeing is like you are getting like this changed perspective. Instead of being so strict and saying like, I know my worth, which absolutely you should know your worth. But I do feel like you're starting to soften and have compassion for this person the way that you would want to have compassion for yourself. And the beauty in that is that person is going to be doing the exact same. So if there are any fights, if there is any confusion, just know that this is an initiation for you both to turn into the best versions of yourself. I see financial stability. I see financial abundance. I see travel. I see a life beyond your wildest dreams, if this is something that you want. But with that, it will take a lot of work, a lot of appraisal, a lot of depth. But it is not something that you need to fear, because your spirit team, your guides, they place this in your place. They place this in your path for a reason, because you both can benefit from the growth that will come. You both can benefit from allowing your hearts to be seen. You both can benefit. Oh, I just saw 2 children playing. Full body chills. You both can benefit from allowing your inner child to finally be free. Right now, I see your inner children are locked in a prison cell, and they're like reaching through the gate, trying to ask for help. And I see like someone coming along and putting the key in, and the child finally comes out to play. With this, if you stuck through to the end, if this feels like it resonates, if it's meant for you, this is so healing on a different level. This is a depth that you have yet to experience. And what I'm seeing is you two, like these adults, skipping through like a field, acting like children. And that's why this person is put in your path. That's why this person came into your life at what felt like the wrong time, but was the perfect timing. You needed them, they needed you. And if given the opportunity to work through whatever issues you may have, You may have one of the most beautiful stories to tell your grandchildren. Whoa. I just went somewhere. I don't even know if I was here for a minute. That was straight channeling, you guys. Wow. We're going to pull a few more cards just to get a little confirmation. Any final thoughts here? We have the provoker. Yeah, they are going to provoke you. They are going to push your buttons at times. But it's going to lead to your abundance if conscious about it, right? If you're able to work through your issues, it's going to lead to this abundant life. And it's going to be healing. It's exactly what I was saying. Sometimes our egos need to be softened. Sometimes we don't know everything, and that's okay. Sometimes we need to meet in the middle and understand that people are not perfect. I do feel like you've been hardened. You've been hardened through this life, through your past relationships, through your childhood. My God. But this relationship is healing. It will take work. But you know what? That's the thing, is we think relationships are going to be easy, and they're not. We just learn through it all. Stay connected. We are all born connected to spirit, often known as the divine source. Yet many of us have a tendency to pull away from that connection as we journey through life in the physical world. Now is an important time to reconnect with the source. And self-love. Now is the time to nurture and heal yourself. Self-love is simply not a state of mind about feeling good. It's a state of appreciation for yourself that grows and matures from actions you take to support your body, mind, and soul. And I think that is the most important thing, is to not lose yourself in this relationship, which I think can be very easy. But like, as you connect back to source, as you connect back to this self-love, I do feel like that is an inspiration, and you are setting the example for the other party to heal. But if you are kind of engaging in their like lower vibrational habits and stuff all the time and not setting the example, it can kind of diminish the relationship. So unfortunately, you have to be like the stronger person. You have to be the one that sets the example by working on yourself, meditating, journaling, whatever it is that you do to help yourself. But as you do that, this person is so open and receptive, and they really honor and like respect what you have to say. I'm feeling really concluded. Spirit says these cards. So we're gonna hold this. Nourish. I nourish myself with conscious food choices. Detox. I release all that no longer serves me. And mindfulness. Moment to moment, I am awake and alive. I really do feel like this is like reiteration to come back to yourself. Keep coming back to yourself. With that, I am sending you guys so much love. I hope that brought you clarity. I hope this resonates in your soul. And I will see you guys in one of my next readings.